Kill me! I'm here! Kill me!
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Spartacus, the movie from the 1960s, directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Kirk Douglas, and I have wanted to see this movie for years, and it's always been on my to-watch list, but I've always kind of put it off, and then a few months back I put out a video asking people who were regulars to my channel to give me suggestions of movies to watch, and a gentleman by the name of Let Me Mip and Stuff, actually who is the person who created the intro that you watched at the beginning of each of my videos, he suggested that I watch this movie, and I was like, yes, I'll definitely watch it. However, the movie is extremely long. I watched the restored version of it that clocks in a little bit over 3 hours and 16 minutes, so I had to wait until the right circumstances to actually be able to get around to watching it, and that finally came to pass, and I finally got to watch it, and I thought it was amazing. You see, there's lots of these movies that are like considered classics, and it's very interesting to watch some of them because, you know, there have definitely been times where I've watched them and I've been like, or like, you know, underwhelmed, at the very least didn't live up to my expectations. But this one, it's funny because I had very high expectations going into it, considering it's considered to be this cinematic classic. I'd seen a few like throwaway moments from it that seemed really great. It's directed by Stanley Kubrick, who, I mean, obviously is a genius. Kirk Douglas is a great actor. All these things led me to have very high expectations, and I really felt like this movie completely rose to them. I thought it was extraordinary. I thought the love story was great. It dragged a little bit in a couple of moments, mainly because I was much more interested in the political, but like the back and forth between him and his big antagonist. And but when it did show up, I thought it was very well performed. You could really feel great chemistry between the two of them, and I thought it totally worked. I loved the whole way that they shot this movie. I thought it was just absolutely beautiful. There's lots of moments that are brilliant. Like there's a scene where one of the moments that I'd seen was, or I'd seen at least bites of, is like this big fight between Spartacus and another slave that happens, and it ends with the other slave sparing Spartacus's life and throwing a harpoon basically at the rich Romans. And I'd seen a lot of the actual battle between the two of them, but I hadn't seen any of the stuff that came before it. And there was a moment there was the way the whole scene was set up. This is slight spoilers for something that happens in like the first third of the film. There's a moment where it's basically the way that it's set up is that these rich Romans come and they want to have a gladiator show. So they pick 4 gladiators that they are paying them to fight, are paying their owners to have them fight. And Spartacus is one, and the guy that I'd seen all the footage of before, his foe, is one. And then there's 2 other people, which I didn't realize, that are also picked. And so they have the 4 of them kind of huddled into this room, and one of the people comes and gets the other 2 guys, and they go out and fight. And the entire time you can hear them fighting to the death, and eventually one of them dying. And it's just a static, well, not a static shot, but it's a consistent shot of just that room, Spartacus's eyes, his opponent's eyes, and a 2 shot of them, and just them like as they contemplate what they're about to go through, the fact that they are about to have to fight one another to the death while listening to 2 other people do the same thing. It was just such a brilliant moment, and it's just I mean, it's just such a perfect example of what made Stanley Kubrick the man. And then it's stuff like that across the board. Like the way things are shot is amazing. Like they're eventually, of course, if you're familiar with the story of Spartacus, there's an uprising, and the way that they did that was awesome. Like they had like the way they climbed out of their cages, or not the cages, but the cage, and then actually broke it down and used it as basically something to climb over. Like it was just such a everything in this movie was just so well considered and so perfectly they used everything that they did perfectly. Like there was no frivolous action. There was nothing gratuitous throughout the entire movie. I just thought everything from beginning to end, this movie was great. All the performances were fantastic. The story, of course, is like amazing and highly relatable. And like even like when I said it before, the performances were amazing. There's lots of like throwaway performances in this that in lots of other movies may not have been very impactful. But like for instance, in that scene where I was talking about just a moment ago, where they have like the gladiator fight, there's a scene that like happens just beforehand where the gladiators, the slaves, get word that they might have this fight coming up, and there's two guys, like Spartacus and another one of the slaves are standing, and they have this little conversation back and forth about what they'll do if it's the two of them that are picked. And the actor that's in the moment with him, I don't recognize him from anything. For all I know, he could have been an accomplished actor, but I don't know him from anything. And he was just exemplary in the moment. And I mean, Kirk Douglas, I've always been a huge Michael Douglas fan, and the apple certainly didn't fall far from the tree on that one. I absolutely love this movie. There's nothing about it really that I would change. That says about as much as I possibly could. So those are my thoughts on Spartacus. If you've seen it, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of it. Let me know if you agree with my analysis of it. And please hit that like button. It does huge things for my channel. It gets in front of people that may not have been able to see it otherwise. And please hit subscribe if you're new to this channel. I love talking to people about movies and collectibles and all that kind of stuff. And I'd love you to be one of the people I talk to about that. Other than that, have yourself a nice day.